You're on the Six Screens Tele-Network, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, and exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, in Disney.
Well, welcome in, everyone, to JW World News tonight, February 19th, 2022. And as usual, we are counting down the last days of the Watchtower. Well, there we have it. Hello and hello to everyone out there, wherever you might be in the world. It's probably evening, it's probably night, it's probably morning, wherever you are. Thank you for coming in and wanting to be with us here on JW World News. We always appreciate your presence. We appreciate all you guys commenting on the suite, commenting on Facebook, commenting on YouTube, and of course on our radio network. Well, my name's Rick Fearon. And we're coming to you live, like I always say, from the apostate capital of the world up here in Boston, Massachusetts. Boy, I will tell you, have you guys been noticing? I'm sure you have. Have you been noticing the people leaving the Watchtower? But yet they keep coming across like, man, they are in full steam ahead, gaining all kinds of people all around the world. Friends, it's not happening. That is propaganda at its best. It's amazing to me how they can continue to spew out all of this garbage, all of these lies, make it look like they're growing, and they have to. They have to. If you're going to remain in the cult, you have to know there's new ones coming in. If there's not new ones coming in, there's no reason for you to recruit people in there. But they are leaving. I know the old saying, in droves, and it's happening. We talked about it a few weeks ago. The mass exodus has begun. I mean, I'm calling it. I'm calling it as a beginning. Of course, it's been going on for a while, but these last couple of years, I would say from 2019 onward, something has changed. Something has really changed. This is not the Jehovah's Witness organization any of us who've been in for a while grew up in. This is an entirely different animal. And man, they are coming out with things. We're going to be talking about things here tonight on the news. I know you're going to find very fascinating. So don't leave us. Stay with us. And if you can muster up the courage to speak up and talk with us, I'd love that. The people would love it. You know, that's what really makes the program. There's a million places you can go and listen to the Jehovah's Witness, ex-witness community. A million places, and they all do a great job. But, you know, this is a place where people can come in and they can hear other people in real time. Boy, I wish this was around when I was getting out of the organization, to be able to hear people voice their concerns about the Watchtower organization in real time. That is really a bonus. Boy, I couldn't get my hands on enough stuff. When I left the organization, I was reading every apostate book that was available. I was on websites. I was listening. Well, there wasn't any conference calls, so I couldn't listen to any of those. But we started it. We started the ball rolling with that. We were the first to start doing podcasts, and it gained momentum. And 16 years later, now we've got our own little Six Screens Tele-Network, we call it. We've got approximately 17 different programs by different ex-witnesses that do these programs. And they work hard putting all these programs together to share the information with you. And then all of our callers, I got to pat them on the back too when people call in. And we have so many of them. We got Pixie and Anne Marie, and we've got Dick Borgie and all of these people. I mean, it's too many even to Constance and Dan Hall, not Dan Hall, Dan Clark. All of these people that are calling in. We really appreciate their presence because it makes a difference. If I was just sitting here bloviating all night long, that'd be so boring, right? But no, we have all these people, different personalities, different emotions. And when you hear someone, you can get on Reddit and you can get on JWN. These are forums online where you can chat and you can talk. But when you can actually hear voice inflection, do you know what that is? Do you know what voice inflection is? When a person is speaking. Well, last week, I'll give you an idea. Poor Daniel, former Jehovah's Witness, he calls in here a lot. He came on, it was Valentine's Day, and he wanted to buy his mother some flowers, but she's a Jehovah's Witness, and she wouldn't accept the flowers on Valentine's Day. So he was talking about this last week on our program, and poor Daniel broke up about the whole thing. He loves his mother, and I thought that was great that he could express himself. But if he was writing on a forum, you never would have heard that. You really can get into a person's emotions when they're talking. When people are commenting and typing, that's one thing. That's good too, believe me. But when people can speak up and talk, that's voice inflection. Daniel's voice changed very quickly from, speaking about wanting to buy flowers to very sad. And everyone could pick up on that. So that's what you get. That's what you get here. So don't you guys not want to speak up? And if you're on YouTube, the number is scrolling across the bottom. Why don't you, I think it is. If not, I'll make sure it gets up there. Well, it's not up there right now, but I'll put the number up. So if you're on YouTube and you want to call in, go ahead and do it. Oh my goodness, you'll love it. And you're going to get hooked. Once you call in, you're going to say, geez, I like doing this. I want you to be an active apostate. I want you to come out of the bleachers. I want you to get into the game. So see if you can't do that. All right. Well, I think it's time for the witnesses to head for the bunkers once again. And why do I say that? Well, there's so many world events right now. The geopolitical world is just exploding. And the witnesses, they're having a heyday with this. Oh, they're running around. They're yelling Armageddon, shouting Armageddon from the mountaintops. But something, I got news for you. They've done this for years. But what's really, in fact, it's so funny because I came across a post today and it was saying that Canada is now the king of the North. And I'm saying, why are people saying that? Of course, it's a joke, but some of the witnesses are actually thinking it. Well, why would they think it? Well, do you know what happened up in Canada? You guys been watching, right, on the news, the truckers, the convoy, Ottawa. They got the streets blocked. They're protesting, all the truck drivers, because they don't want to go along with all these mask mandates and the vaccine mandates and all of this. So there's been a big disruption up there in Ottawa, Canada. And so anyways, what Trudeau, what he had to do, the Russian president, is what he had to do is he had to actually declare an emergency act. When he did that this week, the witnesses went ballistic. Oh, yes, they did. Oh, they said, this hasn't happened in Canada. This is something different. Oh, my goodness, this is going to be Armageddon. And the reason why they thought that this was so big in the world of Jehovah's Witnesses, because that emergency act, the Canadian Emergency Act, it kind of suggests that religion has got to go along with the government, regardless of what the government says. In an emergency, everybody obeys the government. And so a lot of churches, they were quite concerned about it because, they're not wanting to go along fully with what the government wants. So the witnesses jumped on the bandwagon here and said, oh, there it goes. This is Babylon the Great. It's now turning on us. So Canada got the title this week in the witness world as the king of the North. But there's more going on. You guys know it. Geez, you guys are watching TV. What about Russia and Ukraine? My goodness, how could you possibly miss it? It was on every radio station, television station. That's all you heard about this week. Russia and Ukraine. Is Putin going to go in? Is he not going to go in? President Biden comes on. He's not sure what's going on, but he did say it looks like it's going to happen. So I'm just bringing this up. I'm bringing this up because it seems very, very strange to me that all this is happening and the witnesses are really taking a hold of this and they're running all the way to the bank with it, so to speak, because they're thinking Armageddon is right around the corner. So it's all happening, and I'm so glad that, to see it, because it's foolish. Friends, when I see what the witnesses are doing these days, it actually comes across to me. It comes across to me as very humorous. It really, really is, to see grown people acting the way that they do. And, anytime there's any world event that looks ugly, they win. Oh, Armageddon's coming. But when they're crying peace and security, they win there too, right? Geez, these guys win all the way around. But, I mean, wouldn't you think? Well, let's just stop and think. Let's just calm down here a little bit. When you were a witness, did you stop and think about this? On one hand, they're speaking about, how bad it is, and man, it's just terrible, and Russia, Ukraine, what's going on in Canada. And then, if all of a sudden things change and all of this disappears, it's water under the bridge. And then all of a sudden in 2 weeks, Biden comes on and says, well, we now have peace with Russia, and Ukraine has peace with Russia. Well, the witnesses will say, oh, there it is, peace and security. I mean, did you guys ever stop and think, how can you have it both ways? It can only be one way or the other. So I want to bring that up. If you guys have relatives in the truth, if you have relatives in the so-called truth, I'm sure that you're hearing all this malarkey. Jeez, I'll tell you what, the world would be a better place without the Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, I don't think we should all put them in a concentration camp, but boy, it would be a better place without the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, another story that came across, and this is every week when we do our JW World News. This happened in Alabama. And again, an elder is charged with child pornography. What else is new? I mean, every week there's 3 or 4 cases of elders, ministerial servants, Jehovah's Witness men being caught in an act of perversion, sexual perversion. Well, here it is again in Alabama. Yeah, he was arrested. Now, according to the Flock Book, the latest Flock Book that we just talked about 3 weeks ago, if you remember, in the latest Flock Book, it says that, a brother who views kiddie porn or child pornography, he can be not necessarily disfellowshipped, but he can be counseled, and just counseled. They were saying, cut him some slack. Friends, this is child porn we're talking about. He was arrested, this guy, an elder. Well, let me see if I can't put his picture up here. I think he might like to see his picture. Well, let's see if I can't put his picture up here for us. So just give us a second and see if we can't do that. I want to put a picture. I want to read a little bit about it. So let's see what's going on here. Why can't I get this? So let's see if we can't put his picture up. I can read a little bit about it. He was in the newspaper, and I think that you should see him, and we can talk a little bit about him. And I'm going to put it up right here. Here it is. He's a pedophile. And there it is right there. If you're on, I think you'll be able to see it if you're on our screen on our YouTube. Let me read a little bit about him. He was caught with child pornography. And let me see if I can't make the screen bigger so I can actually read it to you. Yeah, Valley Head, that's Valley Head, Alabama. A man is behind bars charged with possession of child pornography. He's a witness. More charges are pending as the investigation continues, according to the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office. Cale Claxon, 38 of Valley Hill. Brother Claxon, 38 years old, was arrested after investigators with the DeKalb County Criminal Investigation Unit received a tip about obscene material being downloaded to a residence to such and such an address. So, okay, so the authorities caught him and they arrested him. And of course, even looks like the FBI was involved. Friends, this is very serious. If you're viewing kiddie porn, you're in big time trouble if you're caught. Don't do it. Absolutely no. Don't even think about it. But Jehovah's Witnesses, they're treating this lightly. Yeah. The Elders book, the Shepherd, the Flock book, just 2 months ago, they came out with a new edition. And that was one of the changes. We talked about it here on JW World News. And what it was, I guess there's so many Jehovah's Witness men that are viewing pornography, and even many evidently actually watching and viewing child pornography, that they had to make an adjustment in their way of thinking. At one time, it was really, basically it was a disfellowshipping case. It was considered right along with actually sexually molesting a child. That's what the Watchtower used to look at it as. If you watched child porn, that was, in the eyes of the Watchtower, that was as bad as committing the act itself. But now they lightened up. Oh, Watchtower, new light. Watchtower lightened up. And they're saying, well, wait a minute. A person who was a witness and they're watching children's porn, child porn, they don't really have to be disfellowship. We can just give them strong counsel. Oh, yeah, slap them on the hand. So, but here's the police, the sheriff's office, the FBI. They're arresting this guy, Brother Claxton, 38 years old. What was he thinking? What were people thinking? What would you do if you were in Brother Claxton's congregation? And all of a sudden you find out he was arrested for child pornography. What would you do? I'm serious. How would you handle it?
Hey there, Rick.
Yes.
Oh, hey, it's Braden from Toronto. How are you?
Braden, I'm doing good.
Good. Well, I've got one comment to make about this story, and then I've got another compliment. Sorry, not a compliment, but rather a
a comment.
The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just when you think things reach the apex of how bad and how disgusting things get, there's always somebody who pushes it to the next level. And personally, a guy in a congregation who not only has access to children, is arrested for child pornography. And I'm thinking to myself, how sick in the head do you have to be to look at a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, and think they're sexually attractive? Like, these people are sick, and they're just free. They're free to walk amongst the congregation, and nobody knows anything, right? Because if they did, the brothers would say, well, if we start saying that, it could disrupt the unity of the congregation. And I'm thinking, disrupt the unity of the congregation? I think that's exactly what should happen. Instead of drinking the Kool-Aid, like, oh, well, you know what, this is a fabricated story and whatever. And my other comment that I wanted to say, Rick, was probably over the last couple of weeks, I think that, despite everything that's going on in the community right now, I think the last few shows, Rick, have been really, really excellent. And I feel that last week's show and the show before, everybody was talking. We had so many people talking. And, in a way, we're uniting and healing as a community. And one thing I want to stress is that nobody has to have the responsibility of filling Lloyd's shoes or trying to make a name for themselves. I think we should all listen to each other's stories, and I encourage anybody out there, make your own YouTube account and share your experiences with us, because the more people that are out there that can help, you know, the more supports that ex-witnesses who are just leaving and have nobody, you know, we need to be there for the people. So.
Well, no, that's a good. That's a darn good comment. A darn good comment. Absolutely. No, in fact, I have to tell you something. You make good comments, and right now the ex-witness world is floating around and kind of a lot of uncertainty. But it'll all pass. It's like water under the bridge. It goes away. But well, thank you. Thank you for chiming in with us.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, go ahead. You're on with us.
This is ex-elder. Just thought to let you know, in the case of the Alabama thing,
yeah,
that was he was an auxiliary circuit overseer.
I didn't know that. He was?
Auxiliary,
wow.
Yes. He was an auxiliary circuit overseer. And there's more involved in this than just the child porn. And what it was that they investigated, and it went all through the FBI. So it's really a federal case.
Wow.
So what's going to go on, we don't know. But if I get any more information, I'll let you guys know. Okay?
Yeah, you basically, you don't have to say if you for yes or no, but are you from the area, are you? Did you know this man?
No. I have a circuit overseer that's in that area that I still keep in touch with. So he's telling me what's going on.
Yeah, well, you know, the last time we had this Bethelite, Johnny the Bethelite, 2 years ago he came on. The last thing he talked about was kiddie porn going all the way to the top officials of the Watchtower. So I think this stuff, it's bigger than we think.
Right. I personally believe the same thing, because a couple of weeks ago, another brother told me that when the circuit overseer came over, had told one of the biggest problems that they have is pornography. Circuit overseer was that a lot of brothers were not believing in the governing body anymore. And that was the comments of the circuit overseer when he went to have a meeting with the elders. So these are things that are going, that they're worried about, or what's happening, that they can't keep their hands, they can't control the brothers. So they try to tell the elders to keep in touch and try to help the people. But it's something that they're getting their hands away. And there's a lot, and according to the brothers, there's a lot of fornication and adultery going through at this time.
Well, no doubt it's a sexually perverted organization, yes.
Right. So I just thought I'd let you know. Everybody have a good day. Sometimes I get hiccups, and sometimes I have to stop talking. All right, buddy? So everybody have a good evening. God bless.
Well, thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much for coming in and being with us tonight. Yeah, see, there it is. We have people sharing thoughts here. And, you know, I was talking to a person yesterday, and they're going to be able to come on the program in the future. They're uncovering some really big-time evidence on the Watchtower. And, you know, I talked to a lot of people, but they can't give me all the skinny on it. Kind of gets me upset, but they said they'll know in a few weeks. But this person is going to come on and talk about some things that are going to rock the Watchtower's boat. And also, but you just didn't, I can mention this, that the person also mentioned to me that the court cases, there's so many of them piling up on the Watchtower for sexual misconduct, but she said those being settled out of court are big time. You can't believe how many are being settled outside of court. And almost anybody, if you're a person and you're listening to this program and you were molested by the Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm going to tell you what to do. If you don't want to go into the limelight and be dragged through the court system and all of that, just approach the Watchtower. It would be worth your while to, fly a plane out here or drive to the Watchtower headquarters and let them know that you were treated badly sexually when you were a child, or let them know that. And I'll tell you what, they'll get their checkbook out.
They should contact the Zolkin law firm, sir.
Right, but some people don't want to do that, Pixie.
Well, it's a action suit, and it's you don't have to give your name publicly in the press or anything.
Right, but according to this person yesterday, who was a big side insider, they were telling me that they're settling so many cases outside of court, and they're just offering money like crazy. So, my advice to you, if you were, yes, sir, Randy.
It's just my personal opinion, but I think that would be a big mistake just to go there, because they're not going to get any kind of respect. If they're not having a lawyer, they probably won't get in my opinion, they probably won't get offered anything. They'll be told the same things I was told. Well, what do you think Brother Joe Blow over here would say if this happened to him? Don't you think he would just absorb it and not create contention and just go ahead and forgive his brother and sister? And so anyway, that's what I think would happen. The best thing is to get the best lawyer, but if you don't have the best lawyer, at least have a lawyer. I want to add one more thing, is that recently I heard of this sister that did have a lawyer, and she got a very big settlement offer really soon from the society, from their lawyer. The lawyer called her, and she may not have known this, but that is very illegal and unethical. When you already have attained an attorney, they're not supposed to come to you. They're supposed to go only to your attorney.
Yeah, well, that's what they're supposed to do. Now, this woman that I was told about yesterday, she was really, really badly abused when she was a young woman by the witnesses. And she went to the witness organization and told them they got their checkbook out. They were ready to give her hundreds of thousands of dollars, not $1 million, but they were willing to write hundreds of thousands of dollars. But she almost took it, but she backed away. But if she did get a lawyer, I would tell you, because her case was so severe, that she would make out a lot better. I mean, not that you're looking to make out monetarily, but geez, you might as well at least suffer some damage for what they caused you, All right.
Let me add too, whatever Watchtower would ever make for an offer, just know that you've got a case and that you'd probably get 10 times that.
Oh yeah, that's good advice, Randy. That's good advice. Some people want to slip under the radar screen, but it is probably better. In fact, I would think so. Get a good lawyer, not a shyster, but get a good lawyer. All right, so you're with us. You're on JW World News. Who wants to go?
Case with this disreputable, the scum on my pond has more character than this guy. But the shocking thing with that Atlanta case, he is in that much position of power and authority, like what would be a bishop in another belief system, and he's only 30. Did I hear that right?
Are you talking about that man I was just talking about?
Yeah, in
Alabama. Yeah.
Alabama. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
In Alabama, he's only 36. That's an added element to that whole case.
Well,
how did he move up that quickly to that position within our former group there? We know how they have to move up. How did he do that at 36?
Well, I mean, that's something that, the FBI is looking into. I thought when I was reading the newspaper article, I said, wow, that's unusual. The FBI got involved in this case. This is...
Well, they handle those things. And, that's not some kind of questionable material that one can get at a newsstand. He had to key in to get access to that sad pictures and things of those exploited children. So he had to key that in, which probably rang a bell somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Very despicable.
But the idea that he's in a position of trust and authority and power, and that, he would go from kingdom hall to kingdom hall, think of all the little children. Oh, we're having a special meeting, and they're just running up to meet him and everything. it turns my stomach. I hope they get the hammer down on him.
Hey, I'm with you, Pixie. You know, the more we read about this organization, I was going over the news this week, and today I was getting nauseous reading some of the things we'll be talking about tonight. But that's one of
It's
them.
hard news, even for a seasoned reporter like me, you know, sometimes you just have to put it down and let it go and let the powers that be take care of it, because Lady Justice is awesome. She is awesome, and she can handle it.
Well, I like what that man who called in. Now, he, you know, I didn't read about an auxiliary pioneer, auxiliary circuit overseer, but he said it. He must know something.
Yeah.
But, you know,
It's a shocker.
It's a shocker, yeah. So it's interesting, very, very interesting. And we'll find out. I'm sure there'll be more. Yeah.
Surprised at what's going on. He's a good source for the show, and maybe he'll call in again and let us know.
Yeah, well, once in a while we hear from people in cases like this. They're listening in. People are listening in. People we don't even know, but they're listening into the program. Go ahead.
This is becoming a very powerful show. I know you've had it for a long time, but it's really heating up.
Yeah, no, I find it is. In fact, it really is. It's on the move. It's people like the format, Pixie. They like to hear other witnesses talking, so that's a good thing. Okay, we've got some more people coming in. You're on with us. Go ahead. All right, I guess.
Hi, Rick, this is Constance.
Yes, Constance.
Hi, dear. I was going to say, yeah, that is really amazing that it was an auxiliary CEO. You know, you think about the CEO's responsibility. You know, they circulate around like, what is it, 13 congregations? Back in the day, it used to be that way. And you think about how many children are in each congregation, and I know a lot of people have left, but still, there's still a lot of single mothers with children that are in the congregation, and even families with kids. But, you know, when you get the FBI involved in this, Rick, you know, the organization, first of all, is so debased, and it's so dark. I'm talking about spiritually. It is so dark. You know, it's like one story after the other we hear about this. And a lot of times when people are into all this kiddie porn, it's because they're pedophiles. And when the FBI gets involved, Rick, you know, maybe this guy is into the dark web, because the FBI is always searching the dark web and trying to track these pieces of work around. You know, they're trying to always catch these people. And so, you know, they are trying to protect the children, but it's just, you know, Rick, I just think about that scripture where Jesus said, if anybody does any damage to a child, you know, it's like taking a millstone, which is what, probably several hundred pounds, if not a couple of tons, wrapped around your neck and thrown into the ocean, you know. And you think about these people who supposedly supposed to be in God's holy organization, theocratic organization, the truth. And these men are so messed up. They are so debased, Rick. You know, it's so ungodly. It's disgusting. So anyway, but thank you for the report. I hope they get this guy, and I hope these creeps are put in prison. There's plenty of them out there. There's more of them than I think most people really think. So thank you, Rick.
Well, Constance, you are 100% right. I'm shocked myself.
Yeah, Jesus said, throw them off the bridge.
Yeah, throw them off with the millstone around their neck. You're right, Pixie. Yeah, no, there's more of this going on than you would think. You're absolutely right. And we keep hearing stories like this. In fact, many weeks here on JW World News, I don't even bring it up. It's so mundane and ordinary. But this one I had to bring up because I saw it's becoming a federal case. Yeah. Anyways, you're on JW World News. Anyone want to speak up before we move to the next story?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Fearon.
Yes, sir, Ken.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call and so forth. I want to comment on some of the stuff that we talked about here tonight, and I'm going to comment on this porn here towards the last. Number one here, they talked about the King of the North and King of the South a while back. You can go to the Jewish Torah there in the book of Daniel. It mentions all the countries. Canada, the U.S., Russia, and everything like that is not mentioned as King of the North or King of the South countries, if you read that. Then they talk about Babylon and so forth all the time. both the Jewish Torah and the Roman Church scriptures say Babylon the Great is fallen. So I don't know how it keeps on getting rebuilt again and falls down again. That's I wish that they'd explain that to me and so forth. And I wanted to also comment on this pornography and so forth. Many years ago yet, 20, 30 or better, maybe 40, Dr. Billy Graham said, pornography corrupts your morals, period. Okay, people that read pornography and people that read child pornography, it doesn't stop there. It doesn't just, they don't just get excitement there. They want to go after the real thing. And so that's what probably happened to this other guy right now that's got arrested in Alabama. And I'm glad they caught him. He probably started out with the pictures and then he went after the real thing.
Well, it stands to reason that's what would happen. That's what happened. If you start putting your mind in the gutter, it's going to go nowhere but down. So this guy, I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's terrible. That's a good comment, Ken. Thank you. I mean, the
church. Okay, thank you. We'll keep listening.
Well, thank you. No, that's good. He's bringing that up. Friends, pornography is bad. It is. I mean, I'm letting you know it anyways, but the churches are preaching it. It's not a good thing. But geez, it's so hard to escape even some of the commercials. Have you seen some of the commercials on TV? Geez, they've almost become like pornographic. Geez, they got people jumping in bed with each other, half naked. They're showing all kinds of sexual enhancement products on TV. Geez, regular television is almost becoming pornographic. Everywhere you look, it's pushed in your face. All right. Well, anyways, let's take a look. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick thought. Back in the 80s, I think it was the Paradise Earth book, they said the king of the north was Russia. And then they said the king of the south was the dual world powers of England and the United States. That's what they claimed then. Now you're telling us that they're saying that the king of the north is Canada. You know, these people are just absolutely unbelievable with the flip-flops. But I guess they figure there are not that many people that studied with Jehovah's Witnesses in the 80s, maybe are still around. I don't know what they're thinking. But the thing on porn and, pedophilia and so forth, it's kind of unbelievable that they will disfellowship a person for reading Ray Franz's book, Crisis of Conscience. But if another brother gets caught being a diddler or a pedophile, they will give him strong counsel. That is ludicrous. What an idiot organization. I'm just surprised I was ever a part of it.
Dick, no, that's an A-star comment right there. We should give that comment to the Zalkin law firm. He should use that in court. No, seriously. He should use that. He should use that in court. He should stand up and say to the jury, friends, I want you to hear something here, and I want you to have your ears wide open. You know, if you read a book about Jehovah's Witnesses from an ex-witness saying how evil they are, you could be disfellowshipped, but you can watch child pornography. That's a good line for a lawyer, really, because what juror would think that's sensible? Not one. Not one. All right. Good comment, Dick.
May I say something?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Debbie.
Yeah. Last week, I kind of defended at the end about the person in Croatia and the sex scandal going on with him.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that. I haven't heard about that, Debbie. What was that all about? No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, I had not seen some of the videos back with Kim and Mikey. I didn't know. I knew they used to have a rift between them, but I never knew why. And I couldn't believe it when Kim and Mikey did play that video that they made, I think, 8 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, he was a bully back then to them. No wonder. And I just was thinking, and then I did more research about, his past and everything. And I was blown away. So if I offended anybody by kind of defending him, I am truly sorry, because the man shouldn't be defended, period. He's bad. I'm sorry. He's bad.
Well, yeah, no, there's more and more that's coming out. I mean, he's been big time punished. I believe that, it will go away in time, but this has been the biggest news really in the ex-witness community since I've been doing the news. This is huge, yeah.
But I do want to say one more thing. I did watch another brother, ex-Jehovah's Witness brother, who talked about how this is probably affecting Lloyd, and how Lloyd has commented in the past that he had some mental illness. And although everybody's really judging him, but I mean, there's reason for it. This brother brought out, we don't want to go to the point that he could actually kill himself or something like that, because which two of us would really feel good about that? We don't want that to happen. I mean, God's going to judge him anyway, so that's not me necessarily defending him. That's just the way it is. None of us would put that on our conscience.
Well, you're showing that you're human. We wouldn't want to see a person take their life. My goodness, we'd try to step in and intervene. We would. We know we don't want to see a person take their life over it, and I hope that wouldn't happen. And people, I'm not going to get into a defense either for Lloyd. I mean, he admitted all of this, and that happens. And in the world we live in, what I found very fascinating to me is it would have been better that he didn't come on and admit all of this, but he did. He came on, and it would have been better if he just let it go. And, then it would have been one person's word against his. But now all this stuff is hitting the fan, and the man has been totally punished. But we'll see. I think this will go away in time. And, geez, I mean, I hope the man doesn't go crazy over this whole thing. But, there's a couple of things that I thought of. When a person comes on and says basically that, other people who have been sexually repressed would go out and do this, I have to say that's not true. That there's plenty of people that have been sexually repressed in the organization, but they didn't go out and do some of these things that he did. So you can't paint everyone with a broad brush. There are some men that wouldn't do that, no matter how sexually repressed they would be, including me. I wouldn't run out and do anything like that. And I mean, but there are men that were offended by that, and I was somewhat offended too. And also the other thing, he made reference to the ex-witness world and how they gossip and all of this, and they do that. I know that, but that's human nature. When a person does something really, really terrible, you expect people to talk about it. That's how people used to be kept in line. You go back to the Bronx in New York in the 20s and 30s, when all the families lived together, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins. And if a person got out of line, a young kid, and the parents didn't see him, his uncle would see him and take him out to the woodshed, knock it off. But when nobody speaks up about it and says it's bad, then people just get along with what they're doing and don't see anything bad with it. Well, thank you, Debbie. Thank you. All right. A little off course there, but that's fine. That's good. Okay, let's take a look here. There's an article they're going to be studying. I believe it's this Sunday, or it might have been last Sunday they studied. I'm not sure. But there's an article in the Watchtower study edition that the congregation is going over on Zoom. And it has to do with pioneering. And if you pioneer, Jehovah is going to provide for you. It says basically that in the paragraphs here, 8 and 9. But I have to tell you now, I want you to at least picture this. Listening into this program here tonight, we have an awful lot of baby boomers, and we get young ones too. But a good part of our audience is I'd say baby boomers, millennials. Yeah, so these people are up in the age a little bit, and the reason why I bring this up is there's a lot of baby boomers right now. I'm a baby boomer, and there's a lot of baby boomers that are reaching retirement or they've already reached retirement. And I'm going to tell you, it's a real horror story for many, and it should be something that we address because there's so many people that now, as they're getting older, they're voicing their concerns on how the Watchtower really hurt them when they were younger. And I can remember a lot of the older people today, when they were younger witnesses, they wouldn't buy life insurance, they wouldn't get a good career, they wouldn't go to school and get a higher education, they wouldn't really get a good career because they wanted to pursue a Jehovah's kingdom first. And, I've been reading some stories on some of these forums on how there's a lot of people now who are baby boomers that are really blaming Jehovah and blaming the Jehovah's Witness organization in many respects for them not being able to even provide for themselves. And it's really ticking a bunch of these older people off as they're reaching retirement age. And the interesting part about it is they say that, if you start pioneering or you put more time in for Jehovah, then Jehovah will provide for you. That's not necessarily always the case, is it? Sometimes people get a little bonus, but that doesn't happen all the time. But I'm going to read you a couple of paragraphs here, verbatim.
Are they going to start providing lunch and whiskey for them? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so, Pixie. But I'm going to read. A little bit of this paragraph here, right out of the Watchtower, the February edition of the Watchtower, study edition, on paragraph 9. Well, let me go to 9 and 10. Okay, let's go to 9 here. Now, this is why so many Jehovah's Witnesses who are getting older today have been messed up and they're in need of material goods and in need of help financially. Now, listen to the paragraph, and they continue with this sick rhetoric. Paragraph 9, consider an experience that illustrates how Jehovah can care for our material needs. A couple in full-time service drove over an hour in their old car to pick up some sister having a refugee center and take them to the Christian meeting. So I guess she's an immigrant, this sister. She's in a refugee center. So they're taking her to the Kingdom Hall. I don't know when this would have been, but, they don't go to the halls now, but it must have been a couple of years ago. But this is in the Watchtower. It says the brother explained, after the meeting, we invited the sister for a meal, but then we realized that we had nothing to offer her. What would the couple do? Now listen to this. This is JW propaganda at its best. It says the brother continued, when we arrived home, there were 2 big shopping bags full of food in the front of our door. We did not know who left them there. Jehovah took care of us. Sometime later, the couple's car broke down. They needed it for their ministry. However, they had no money to repair it. While the car was being looked over at a nearby garage, a man came in and asked, whose car is that? The brother said, that's his, and that car needs some repairs. The man replied, that doesn't matter. My wife wants this type of car in exactly that color. How much do you want for it? The brother ended up with enough money to buy another car. He concluded, I do not need to explain how we felt at the end of the day. We knew that this was no coincidence. It was Jehovah's hand. How many stories have you read about that in the Watchtower?
That's the best miracle story ever, and they didn't have to walk over any crocodiles.
Well, yes, but think about this, Pixie. What I'm thinking here, they drove, an hour, 45 minutes out of their way to pick this sister up who was in a refugee center. Now, that's gasoline. Are you going to put gas in the car or food on the table? If you're hungry, you're going to put food on the table. So that part of it doesn't make sense to me either. So you hear these propaganda stories, but this is why there's so many Jehovah's Witnesses today that are landing up in financial trouble. It's because of propaganda like this. Now, I'll read paragraph 10 too, because it drives home the point that I'm trying to make. Now, when we listen to the fine shepherd and stop being unduly anxious about material needs, I think people could be unduly anxious about material needs. Wouldn't you worry if you had no food in the cupboard and you didn't know where your next can of soup was coming from? But it says here in the Watchtower, don't you worry. We can be sure that Jehovah will provide for us. It says consider some of these things mentioned in the article. And then it goes on to say, until now, Jehovah may have used a family head or an employer to help us care for our daily needs. If the family head is no longer able to do so, or if we lose our job, Jehovah will take care of us in some other way. He will provide. Let us now consider something else that the fine shepherd will help us with. Yeah, this is delusional thinking, isn't it? I mean, I can remember.
Rick, I've heard that story back in 1968 when I was in the 5th or 6th grade. We had a sister go with a few other sisters from a few other neighboring congregations to North Carolina or somewhere down south. And the story was they were all roommates. And one day they were down to like $5 or something like that. And the story was, should we get gas or should we go to, buy some food? And the story, of course, goes that. But the thing is, I know the sister that told the story. The thing is that they went to the meeting, and then when they got back to their house, there was a basket of food on the porch or whatever. I mean, how long? I mean, I've heard the story in my congregation. I didn't read it. I heard it from the person that went down there when I was like in the 5th or 6th grade or something like that. So, I mean, what are witnesses getting? Are they paid? Was Bethel paying them to tell this story? Is this like the Avon story or what? I mean, I've heard this story.
Yeah, no, they rehash it. They rehash these stories because these stories work. These stories touch a person that has some disability. I mean, I don't think a person in their right mind would listen to all of this propaganda and, basically give everything up in life and put full-time service in for the witnesses. Who would do that? But people do it. And that's why there's so many.
Even if they started out great, like they had the money, okay, we'll go here. The need is great. Many witnesses do that. But then, I don't know if they have a job or wherever they go to, but then the story just goes to the part that, oh, we're down to our last 5, 10, 15, whatever dollars. What should we do? Should we buy gas or should we get food? They go to the meeting and then the food, or the other way around. They bought food and somebody pays for their gas. I mean, but the thing is that really gets to me is that the sister, I know her name, I won't say it now. I don't even know if she's still in the truth or alive, but I do remember this story. But it's like, I've heard it. Basically, I think she gave that experience out of her mouth. I've heard her give that. I know her family. I remember when I was growing up. I've heard that out of her mouth. So, I mean, how does this happen like 1,000 times over, this story?
Oh, yeah, no, we hear this story. In fact, I've heard the story before. Now they got it printed in the Watchtower. But the thing is, it must work. It must work. I mean, I don't think they'd be wasting their ink on this. It must work. But, Shirley, it's really hard to watch these witnesses being so delusional. It's almost getting to the point that it's really disgusting me to see the Jehovah's Witness organization, the Watchtower, take advantage of these poor people. I mean, I wish that God would provide for them. I really do. I wish Jehovah would come down and help all the poor witnesses. And but for them to be fed this malarkey over years, don't worry. Jehovah will provide. Now all of a sudden you get 65, 70-year-old people that are, they're just wondering where their next meal's coming from. Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, like at Bethel, don't they kick out the brothers a certain age at Bethel? Or that has happened. I don't know if it's a strict rule, but some got kicked out of Bethel.
Oh, yeah, Shirley. Hey, we got another person. Come on in and say hello to Shirley. Come on. Yep.
Hey, this is Gilbert.
Hello, Gilbert. Yeah.
Gilbert, JW Crisis. Hey, I just wanted to say that this is all, and I put down in the comments, this is all has to do with financial education that is purposely not being taught by the churches and the schools. When you went to school, Rick, there was industrial arts that was taught. They don't have that no more. They're getting rid of FFA, Future Farmers of America in school. All of these things are being eliminated, and it's being done on purpose because they want us to be dependent on the mother organization, whether it's your religion, the government, or whatever. But let me just tell you real quick. There are books out there where they'll tell you that the Bible is filled with financial education. Proverbs chapter 1 is the greatest example of financial education, but yet people don't, it's never taught in the church. But it's done on purpose. Watchtower purposely keeps people stupid on financial matters. But the good news is you can go on YouTube and pick like about 5, 6, 7 great channels where you could learn everything you need to know about money and finances and how you don't have to go to college. College, a lot of kids go to college and they're indebted into the system, and now they're slaves into the system. And now they're begging the government, please help me with my student loan. So when you learn about financial education, it doesn't mean you don't go to college. It just means you learn that people are out to hurt you financially in this world. But if you make good decisions, you could prosper. And that's the job of the religion. That's the job of the church, to educate people. But they do this on purpose, Rick. They purposely hurt their members. Listen, they're willing to destroy your family and disfellowship you. They're willing to let your children die with blood, no blood transfusion. What makes you think that they care about your financial future? They are satanic in nature, I tell you.
Well, that's a good comment, Gilbert. My goodness gracious, that's a very well put together comment. Thank you for coming in here and telling us that.
Hey,
yeah,
Rick.
that's why. Last thing, that's why they elected me. Remember, as governing body, because comments like mine. Just kidding.
Well,
I love you. God bless you.
Well, thank you.
God bless you.
Don't be a stranger. Thank you.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, it's Braden again from Toronto. I think it was one of your callers beforehand. You know how when you hear one of those examples about like someone who, you know, was choosing their job, right, and they were just on the verge of being evicted, and then somehow, you know, miraculously, you know, Jehovah has saved them. And I'm thinking to myself that, what do you think, Rick? How many of those stories are fabricated, or how many of those stories are real?
Well, I would say most are fabricated, but, you know, there might be one or two that slip by the real, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, they, if they want to, you know what, if they want to say that they've received some sort of divine intervention, I could say the same too. I mean, I've had a little bit of constipation the past couple of weeks. I prayed to God about it, and a few days back I obliterated the toilet, and I don't know. Yeah. Did God help me with a courtesy flusher?
Well, I mean, you know, you could go. You know, I remember it was in the middle of winter, and there was an assembly, and we had a young sister in the hall, and she was going to get baptized, but the mother could not find a bathing suit in the middle of winter. So lo and behold, she was looking for bathing suits so her daughter could get baptized at the baptism pool in the middle of February. So anyways, at the meeting the next week, the girl raised her hand and said, "Oh, I was blessed by Jehovah. Jehovah help me. I went into the exact store that he led me into, and there was a bathing suit that fit my daughter exactly. Thank you, Jehovah." I mean, you could go on and on with this stuff. Coincidence? Does anyone believe in coincidence? I know some people don't, but, you know, something. I mean, we have to stop and think about all of this. There's always these stories that come out. Thank you. Thank you, Braden.
Yeah. All right. Bye, Rick.
Chewy, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the same way Watchtower does, you know, and all that stuff. I mean, I could say right here, I can guarantee you, we are living in the last days, and to prove it, there is going to be an earthquake next year. And that Jesus spoke about it in Matthew 24. And if there's an earthquake, that is proof that we are in the sign of the times.
There you go. Well, while I got you on here, I was going to send you that you wanted the younger brothers being used in the congregations,
Right.
but they took it down. I had it online in the cloud, and they took it down. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So I don't know where it is. Yeah, if I come across, I'll get it to you. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
So there you go. No, this is amazing to me, but all of these unbelievable stories. Well, in fact, I can tell you this. In fact, on Reddit, you guys read in Reddit, right? There was a story in there I read that got my fancy. It really, really did. What it was a young man, and he was 16 years old, and he saw that his mother stopped getting her monthly death benefits. The husband died, and she was getting a monthly death benefit. So she prayed that Jehovah would supply her income. She wasn't getting a lot of money, but she stopped. The benefits weren't coming any more. So she prayed to Jehovah that she could get more income and she could do regular pioneering and not have to work full time. Of course, he didn't answer her prayers, the son said, and they lost their home, they lost their car, they were often hungry, and an elder in the congregation had chickens, and he said that we lived on the eggs for a few weeks until he started a full-time job, and eventually she found a part-time job, and they got an apartment in a really horrible part of town. He says we couldn't afford furniture, so we slept on blankets on the floor. Now, imagine this. This is a mother witness, and the son just went right down the tubes, trying to put Jehovah's kingdom first. The son had enough of this. The elders decided to counsel him. Here he is trying to take care of his mother. They're sleeping on the floor. They can't even afford a bed. And so the elders decided to counsel this young brother for not making enough time. He needed to get 140 hours in a year as a pioneer, and he couldn't do it. And so he left. But where was Jehovah here? Where was Jehovah here? And there's so many witnesses get stories like this. Yeah, they come out and tell you everyone's getting all these benefits from Jehovah. But I'll tell you what, for everyone they talk about, there's probably 500 or 1,000 that are getting diddly squat. And the Watchtower is not going to give them something. Yet they claim to be a charitable organization. How can they be a charitable organization when they could give two hoots of beans about a poor witness? It's a joke. This whole thing is bordering on cruelty. You're on with us. Who wants to say something? Go ahead.
Hello, Rick.
Yes, Constance.
Well, I just wanted to say, it's really heartbreaking to find out that there's so many witnesses that gave their blood, sweat, and tears to this organization. And then when they get to be in their senior years, say 65 or just in their 60s, they're just piss poor. They're really struggling financially, or they're going to the food banks, or they're on, food stamps through their local welfare office. Rick, this organization is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. And I just wanted to say it's very sad because that's a tremendous amount of stress for people, and especially today with the cost of living. I mean, I'm here in California, and the price of gas is over $5 a gallon. That's just gasoline, okay? That's not even counting food. So I can't even imagine what it must be like for other people. And, if you don't build for your future, then you don't have any kind of Social Security or a 401 or anything. But I just wanted to say this one thought with what Gilbert said. Is that interesting? If you ever listen to Dave Ramsey radio show, or he has a YouTube channel, he's a Christian man that's a real whiz-bang when it comes to finances. And he talks about helping people to get out of debt successfully through Bible principles, but also to build for your future financially. And another person I'd like to recommend is Keesee. His name is Keeessee, and his wife's name is Drinda, and they're on TV. And so, there's help out there, but isn't it something, Rick, that this organization who claims to be so godly and so theocratic never taught any of us about any of this? And yet, the principles are there in God's word. But, this organization is a wolf in sheep's clothing. And unfortunately, people are finding out, late in life, which is a real struggle. My heart goes out to them. So thank you, Rick.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you, Constance. No, in fact, I have to tell you. Go ahead, Pixie.
I had some things I was giving to the food bank, and I got a witness friend of mine to take me in his car so that I could go to the food bank. He needed the food bank. He didn't even know about it. So many of these pioneers don't even know what their county and state has to provide for them.
Well, you're right. They should be understanding that there's help available, but they're waiting for Jehovah. And
if it's county and the county's using a church kitchen, it's not money from the Episcopal Church. They're just using a kitchen that the health department has stamped as a way to distribute the foods that are provided by county and state tax and charities through the county that's not religious. And a lot of these pioneers were really hungry. When they came to my house and I gave them a piece of cake, it's like they hadn't seen a fork in a while.
I know what you're saying. But, I'll tell you, I call these stories in the Watchtower all baloney. I call them baloney. Just stop and think about it. There's also people, they pray for everything in the organization. They seem to get it. I remember one person was praying for a new chair. They wanted a new chair to do studying, more studying in the witness world. And the next day, lo and behold, she found at the edge of the curb in her neighborhood a brand new chair. Oh, Jehovah provided. I say that's all baloney. Meanwhile, some elder is raping. Hold on. Just hold on, Pix. Let me finish, okay? Meanwhile, some elder is raping children, and nothing is said or done by this same God. So we have one God that's helping this sister find a chair, and then in the meantime, we got an elder that's raping children, and nothing's done by Jehovah. Okay, go ahead, Pixie.
I hear you. Yep. It's not God that found her the chair. It was her own brain. She knew that she wanted that, and she put her brain on alert to find what she needed to find. And it works every time, and it's Science 101.
Yeah, no, it's a very simple process. Yes, so if Jehovah is so loving, and he's watching over the rank and file, as many witnesses think, I'm going to ask you this question. This is a sensible question to ask at this juncture. Why have over 26,000 Jehovah's Witnesses died of COVID? You tell me. If Jehovah's watching over Jehovah's Witnesses and he's providing, so Jehovah provides groceries and helps sell your car, but he can't stop a deadly virus from killing the witnesses? I'm calling this baloney on all of these experiences. It's just pure baloney. The watch.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, Randy. Yes.
I know one current Jehovah's Witness that's just actually sick and tired of hearing them talk about how Jehovah lovingly provides. He's still watching the videos, and he tells me they're showing. He's watching the meetings, the Zoom meetings, and he's telling me they're showing these videos where there's been natural disaster areas where the sisters, oh, look at my home now. It's better than it was before. It's new. It's all because these volunteer workers come in, these my brothers and sisters, and they fixed it for me. And you know why he's sick of that? This is an older brother up in his 80s. He spent his whole life as a witness helping on projects and stuff. Well, about less than a year ago, he had a natural disaster happen to him. Devastating. You would not believe all the things he lost. And they came and helped him just a little bit, just one day, maybe a few short hours. Needed lots and lots more help, just to get it livable again. But they called him up, and the first thing they asked him was, they visiting with him, and do you have homeowners insurance? And when he told them no, they said, well, he said they talked a little more, and they said, well, we can't send, this is the elder telling them, we can't send any more brothers out there because they might catch this COVID, and that would be terrible. And he told me, he says, Randy, I thought about that. That's true. At the time, I wouldn't want anybody to get catch a disease or anything by helping me. I'm glad that they didn't come. But he said like 2 weeks later, they sent a group of them down to Texas that was going to be down there for like 2 months doing disaster work. And anyway, that's all. That's what really got his goat. Is he realized then that it was a money making real estate thing. It wasn't nothing to do with the COVID. That was just an excuse because he didn't have homeowners insurance.
Well, there you go. No, that's exactly. We hear these stories, Randy. They're authenticated, and the Watchtower should be ashamed of itself. The Watchtower has done a lot of damage to its members with this kind of advice. Just wait, and Jehovah will take care of things. Yes, go ahead, sister.
Hey, Rick, this is MSDD down in Mississippi.
Yes, MSDD.
I had a sister. Are you there?
I'm here. Yep.
Are you there?
I'm here.
A sister called my mom from a nearby congregation, well, the one she used to go to, and she told her that they had 2 deaths in their congregation that were gun deaths, and that a brother, one of the elders in the congregation, had shot his daughter and was in jail. And so I looked it up, and it was in September that this happened. I don't know why he shot his daughter. The article didn't say, but the article said that he called the coroner himself and turned himself in. And the charges are first-degree murder.
Wow.
And then, if that wasn't enough, I think it was a brother who was married to a worldly worldly woman. And she was like, would go away and come back and go away and come back. Anyways, he got into it with her because she was bringing a lot of people in the house that he didn't like. And she shot him dead.
My goodness.
And she's in jail. So I'm like, 2 brothers in the congregation. I'm just shocked that witnesses are having all these guns in the house to it just was, all of it was shocking.
Well, it was shocking. I mean, you wouldn't expect it, but they're going crazy, MSDD. They're going crazy. They're probably getting the guns ready because the organization is telling them to have their go bags ready. They got the witnesses very anxious and nervous. They don't know what's going to happen. The stormtroopers are going to come in any day on them. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if a lot of witnesses are bearing arms. Yeah.
He was 72, and the daughter was in her 40s. And
that's terrible.
My mother was like, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe he was trying to make her leave, and she wouldn't leave, and I don't know. There's a lot of reasons for you to, but calling the law is a better thing than to get out a gun, in a family situation like that.
Well, the first thing I thought of, I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if it's a case or not, but did you say it happened in the Kingdom Hall or it happened out of the hall?
No, at his house.
At his house. Well, I'm even thinking, maybe, I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know. I didn't hear this, but I'm thinking that, maybe the daughter didn't want to be a witness anymore, or maybe vice versa. Maybe she was shunning him. Maybe he was renegade. People are going to start shooting each other. This is what happens. This is what happens when you feed people all this propaganda. People jump to all kinds of conclusions. That's a terrible story, MSDD, but thank you for sharing it. Thank you very much.
And thank you for all your hard work, Rick. I appreciate all the hours that you put into it, and you put on such a professional show too, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad you like it. Well, thank you, MSDD. That's great. All right, let's see now. Do we have anybody else that wants to speak up? If not, we'll. Hey, listen. Yes. Go ahead, Constance.
Okay, honey. I just wanted to be brief with what that sister said. We can only speculate what those murders were about, and that's devastating. But I was going to say, Watchtower creates so much paranoia, Rick, among people. Let's just take the COVID situation. God forbid, you don't get the jabs. They think you've got the bubonic plague if you're unvaxxed. My client, she was a JW, and her sister was, like a Nazi JW. she walked into my client's apartment and I was there, and oh my God, she almost, I mean, I won't even say what she said. You would have thought I had the bubonic plague.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like, oh my God, the paranoia that Watchtower puts on people. So, I mean, and that's just COVID, Rick. But, and then I'll just say this, the science proves that the people who have the jabs are the people that are dying from it. So that's all I'm going to say on that.
Well, I've heard that
anyway.
too. But the witnesses, they're walking around on eggshells. I mean, you can just walk up to them and say, boo, they'll jump a mile. They're so up with it, with anxiety. It's unbelievable. See, this is very dangerous thinking. The Jehovah's Witness organization, right now they're in the danger zone. It's dangerous thinking. And for them to say they just rely on Jehovah and everything will be fine. But I want to bring a scripture out. I'm going to bring a scripture, and I usually don't bring scriptures out on Saturday night, but it got me thinking. And I've always liked this scripture. It's in Matthew, the 6th chapter, and it says, Jesus says, look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more valuable than they? Now, the witnesses will use that scripture. Oh, look at Jehovah takes care of the birds. Jehovah takes care of all the little animals. He'll take care of you. And then it goes on to say, Jesus says that the birds still have to work for their food. Well, Jesus didn't say it, but I'm saying it. The birds still have to work for their food. They can't just sit in their nest and wait for a worm to drop from the sky into their mouths. They are flying around looking for potential food sources, and they're tugging worms out of the ground. They're working to get it. So the witnesses never really bring you that idea, do they? They just say, well, Jehovah will provide, but people have got to go out and work for it. That's what Jehovah would do. He just doesn't want to, here it is. He wants you, how about even Paul? Doesn't it say that he was a tent maker? He mended tents. So I think a lot of the witnesses have reduced. They reduce God to nothing more than a vending machine. All right. You're on with us. You want to say something? Go ahead. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
We got a lot of scratchy noise going on out there. So if you're on the phone, make sure you keep your phone nice and even. Don't make a lot of noise. Go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say that's a good point, Rick. I think that was Paul that said that he was glad that basically he had his own income through a tent maker. So he was doing full-time work or you can say full-time preaching work and full-time, at least to make ends meet. He knew what he had to do, and I think that's the thing that witness.
Donna, we got Daniel breaking up on his phone. Donna, Daniel, you're breaking up on us. Yeah, sad to say. Geez, we wanted to hear what you had to say too. Maybe get into a better area and call us back. Okay. All right. So what I want to say, Jehovah's Witnesses, they've reduced God to a little more than a vending machine. Oh, Jehovah, I need this. Don't worry, he'll show up at the door. It's not good. It's not good. It's very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. Yep, Jehovah.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah. I've been listening to everything with interest right here, and I believe in miracles, but they have to meet the criteria. And I also believe in divine providence, but again, it has to meet the criteria. You just can't be rambling stuff back and forth and, attach either a miracle or divine providence or anything to it. I believe in healing as well, but it has to meet the criteria there that's mentioned. Some competent criteria, not just some rambling words that's, bouncing around. Okay, I want to comment on the fact is, too, that these witnesses seem to be, running around not knowing what they're talking about regarding preaching the word, as they put it. Well, if you look in the Jewish Torah and also the Roman Church writings, both places, like the Jewish Torah starts out with people that go through life need to seek wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in their Lord, in their Lord, whatever it is. The same is true in the Roman church writings. They want you to seek wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. The people that went out to win people for the Lord were the book of Acts. I remember that one, about chapter 4, Roman church writings. They said they're common, ordinary people, And what were those common, ordinary people? Well, one caller just mentioned part of it. They were tent makers, fishermen, and they worked for a living. Sometimes they took contributions from different different fellow members, but they worked for a living and all that and so forth. And they were educated people. They were not dummies. That they had to have read the material where it said to seek wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Because if they're dummies, they couldn't get this word out. So the Watchtower has got their priorities all perverted and twisted in knots to the point of no return here.
Well, I'm with you. Thank you, Ken. Thank you. Good comment.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Rick, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better. Yes, Dan.
Sorry, I'm fighting a cold. No, something was interesting is, I don't know if you've seen this, you might have already talked about it, but the United Nations made a new statue in the last, year or so. It's like a lion with wings. And witnesses are really focusing on that because it looks like the wild beast. And my daughter's mom pointed that out to me to go and look at the UN's website. And I was wondering if you've heard of that or seen it.
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, I got it right up on YouTube right now where people can see it. That is the beast that's outside the United Nations. We talked about that about 3 or 4 weeks ago when they put that up, Daniel. It's pretty odd looking that they would put that there, but they got it there and the witnesses are taking notice as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they were making quite the big deal about it. Like this is Bible prophecy, and all these years, my wife says she's been faithful, and now they're looking at that as a Bible prophecy about that statue, and and showing that they are in the true religion. I did look at it myself. I did find it odd, but it's amazing what witnesses will grab onto to try to hold on to their faith, their belief system.
Well, that's a good way to put it. Anything at all that can further their belief and make them look like, boy, they are in the know. They have the only channel on the planet that understands God's prophecies. That is baloney. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate your comments. So many people, they believe that Jehovah will provide miracles and that the Watchtower is going to be right there with them as well. But don't count on the Watchtower. They're going to give you a spiritual food, but they're not going to give you anything material. But something, if Jehovah did provide miracles, as the witnesses believe, well, why does the governing body in the Watchtower have to keep asking for contributions? If there's still modern day miracles out there and bread and money and chairs and everything else is showing up in people's hands, why isn't it showing up in his only channel's hands? Jehovah will just cause a miracle to happen and the money will just appear. Well, is it appearing in the Watchtower's bank account? No. Jehovah isn't putting the money in the Watchtower's bank account. Guess who's putting it there? You, if you're still one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm going to tell you right now, mental cases. They have a grade level 5 mentality. Most of them, not all, but most of them. In other words, they're acting like they're in the 11th grade. They're actually a grade 5, they're 11 years old. I'm sorry. They're acting like they're in the 5th grade and they don't really understand things. They are mentally ruined. The blind is leading the blind. What do you think of that? My goodness, I just can't believe that the witnesses just, and the same propaganda keeps coming out and coming out. And then there's even a watch.
I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Back in the mid 70s, we lived in a little town where they started emptying the mental institutions in the state. Do you remember that time?
Yes, I do.
Back in California, closing down mental institutions. And we had about 15 of them in our congregation. And boy, they liked to pioneer. And they were on the street corners. We were in a little bitty tiny town. And they were all over the place, giving us all a bad name. Yeah. And every congregation I ever went to, there's always a few of those, mental, goofy people there.
Well, yeah, that there was the Jehovah's Witnesses. They would prey, on people, predatorily prey on people to bring them in the organization. And, I used to think, gee, in fact, they were even at one point going into a local mental institution up where I live here, and they were trying to recruit people to bring them into the cult. So, but, I don't know why they would do that. There's help for these people in these institutions, but, to bring them into the congregation and have them mill around with other brothers and sisters, I don't think it's a good idea. The same thing with prison witnessing. I don't think it's a good idea to bring these prisoners in the hall. Goodness only knows what they've done. Well, thank you, brother, for checking in with us. Good to hear from you. Thank you. All right. Yeah, you guys heard about it. Yeah, you want to go ahead? You want to speak up? Go ahead. All right.
Hey, Rick, how's it going? Rick, it's Mark. Mark. How you doing?
Yes, Mark.
Yes. I was been listening to your show for well over an hour now. It's like a really excellent show, and it's really good. I liked all the comments and everything everybody was making, and your input and everything was very good, very strong, and right to the point. And excellent job, Rick. And I gotta admit, you are right on right on target, right on the money with everything you're doing and talking about. And I'm very, very impressed. I really am. I'm very impressed with all that, Rick. You're doing a totally awesome job. I was wondering, do you have much more time left tonight for, would you have any time available for me tonight by good chance at all or not?
Well, not on this program, Mark. Like I said, you could have come in earlier. We had Roland. He was kind of waiting in there.
I didn't get enough time.
Yeah, so we had Roland in there waiting for you. But Apostle Babe tonight, that's the time to come in. See Apostle Babe's program tonight.
Okay, well, I'll try to. I can't promise anything.
All right, well, you don't have to promise.
Earlier next week.
Yeah, no, get on that early program. You want to give some of those sayings, get on that program. That's the time to do it.
Okay, sure. But maybe I can, get more lucky next week, and
all right,
next week, I can get on for sure. And
we'll set your clock and get in there. That's when you can do it. The early program and the late program. But we're on schedule here. There's only so much we can do.
Okay, no, very good, Rick.
All right.
No problem. Thank you very much, Rick. I greatly appreciate it. You're doing a good job, too. It's very excellent work, and keep on going, Rick. You rock, man. You totally rock.
Well, thank you. Thank you. All right, that's good. That's Mark out in Illinois. So, I found it really interesting this week, and we talked a little bit about it last week, but Norway, my goodness, I said that Norway is beating up on the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I am so glad for that. As we talked about, they lost financial support from the government. In Norway, as we talked about here, last few weeks, Norway gave the witnesses and they give other religions money for the amount of people that they have in their religion. So Watchtower, evidently, I made a mistake a couple of weeks ago. The original article I read said they were going to lose 16 million, but it's not that much. It's only, well, it's still a lot. It's about $1.5 million a year. Every year now, the witnesses are going to lose that money from Norway. And because why? Why did Norway pull the plug on the witnesses? Because of their shunning. In Norway, they call it exclusion. And what really ticked the government off in Norway is that the witnesses exclude or shun even children. That got Norway upset. Now they even went in it a little bit deeper in Norway. What they did is they also took another position against the witnesses. They don't believe the witnesses should be a registered religion in Norway for their shunning policy. So this is a symbolic thing the Jehovah's Witnesses in Norway could lose their status of being a religion. Now, what would that mean if they lose their status as being a religion? Well, it doesn't mean too much. I'm just going to mute some people here. We got a lot of background noise going on. And like I say, when you're not talking, hit *6. That'll help me a whole lot, so we don't have all this background noise going on. But in Norway, let's get back to the story here. They're going to lose, it looks like they could lose their religious status. They're already losing money. Norway pulled the plug on the money, but now it looks like Norway doesn't even want the Jehovah's Witnesses to be a religion. Isn't that something? Now, what that would mean, they could still operate, they could still meet, and they could still at least pretend they're a religion to people, but they wouldn't be able to marry. In other words, if you live in Norway and you want a Jehovah's Witnesses, you're going to have to get married by a justice of the peace. Forget ever being married by a witness. So they would lose that privilege. So I'm so glad that Norway is cracking down on the witnesses. Friends, let's stop and think about this. I just want everyone to put their thinking cap on here for a minute. And the reason why I'm saying this is a big deal. We have got countries, not just apostates. Look we're apostates. We're activists. We're trying to spill the beans on the Watchtower. And, our message collectively together, it's getting out there. Enough of us are really getting the message out and people are seeing it. But when countries come down on the Jehovah's Witness religion, this puts big points on the score for us. This is showing countries have had enough of this foolishness. Russia, for example. I hate to bring them up for an example. Geez, you got the whole world upset right now. But they don't want the witnesses around. They really don't. Belgium. We talked about Belgium a few months back. They're all upset with the witnesses, too, for covering up on child molestation. In England, the UK has examined the witnesses. They know they're hiding pedophiles. And the United States is starting to come to that, too. All these lawsuits are becoming newsworthy. So the world is catching up on these people. And when the government slams the hammer down on them, my goodness, this is wonderful. This is wonderful. See, the Watchtower, they always felt like they were bigger than the government. They always felt like, well, listen, we're the witnesses. We can get away with anything. We're the witnesses. Not so fast. Even here in this country, because of the First Amendment, they've been able to get away with a lot because of freedom of religion. But now they're really starting to be scrutinized. They're being put under the microscope in some of these countries, and the world is catching up on how evil and how corrupt and fraudulent the organization is. So isn't that something? They're getting their butts kicked, and I am so glad to see this happening. And the witnesses, I don't know what they're thinking about all of this. What if you were a witness in Norway right now and you see that it's all over the headline, so the witnesses have got to be seeing it. So what do you say? This is Satan picking on us. This is Satan persecuting us. That's probably what they're going to say. And then when they pull the religious status, it looks like they're going to do that. Oh, look at this. Babylon is after us. Oh, we are being hit by Babylon. They're killing us. So I'm glad for the Attorney General in Norway. Thank you, Attorney General. Thank you for helping us fight against one of the most corrupt organizations on the planet. Thank you. We really do appreciate it. So I'm thinking that's a good thing, right? Yes, it is. So, I mean, there's a lot here. There's a lot we could really pull out here, but I don't know. You don't have to know that much. Yes, go ahead. Yep.
Hi, thank you for bringing that up. For so many years, let's just say at least for the last 30, 40 years, all of us who have left Watchtower and who have tried to sound the alarm, especially to our lost brothers and sisters in Watchtower, still believing in their propaganda and their lies, trying to tell the truth about their corruptness, about their scams, their schemes, and their pedophile problem, and how they basically demonize the victim while protecting the pedophiles. How many times has the Watchtower said, oh, those are just wicked apostates spreading lies from Satan? But as more and more the conventional conservative world has, with no religious objective, has more and more pointed out and prosecuted these pedophiles and these scammers and these liars. And they turn around. They can't call the government. They can't call the judges and the court systems apostate. So what do they say? Oh, Satan's world is coming after us. They're such whiners and bullies. They can really pour out the poison, but they can't take any of it back on them. Thank you, Rick.
Well, you're right, Anne-Marie. Now, in Norway, the witnesses are appealing this. They are saying, now get a load of this. Their answer to the Norwegian government, the Jehovah's Witnesses just this week announced that they are going to appeal the case on them losing the money. And they're appealing and they're citing that they really don't shun people. Well, I hope that goes to court, and I hope some witnesses show up. How can you say that? How can you say you don't do that? They're saying that doesn't really happen. So, I'd like to see, from what I can see here, that's what I'm reading, is they're saying that, Norway has it all wrong. They don't do this to people. Well, they do. So, I don't know how they can get away with this, but they seem to. Yeah. So there's a lot more.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Just FYI, your video is froze up on YouTube.
Oh, it is? Oh, I see. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Sorry.
Let me see why. All right, let me see why. I'm not sure. It is frozen. I'm not sure. Let me see what happened here. Let's see if we can just give me a second here, folks. We'll get right back here as soon as we can. For some reason, we got YouTube frozen. Well, can you still hear me? I guess you can still hear me. I'm not sure why it's frozen. Let me remove it. That works.
Itself, but it didn't.
All right. Well, as long as you can hear me, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right. Well, we'll just stay with that. I can't. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know.
Well, it's rebooting or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that happened, but let me just let me make a.
Well, I just wanted you to know. Bye.
All right. No, good. Thank you. All right. Let's let it go with that. As long as you can hear me, we'll let it go with that. You don't have to see my mug on there, I guess, but that's fine. It might come back on here in a while. We'll see what happens. But anyways, let's go over here. I wanted to play this, but you can hear it at least on YouTube. And I'm going to see if we're still on Facebook. We must be off of Facebook too. So if we're on Facebook, I guess we're still on Facebook for some reason, I think. But if we're not on Facebook, just listen in. You'll be able to hear it. But I wanted to bring this up. It's concerning the annual meeting. What they're doing is they're rehashing the annual meeting. Now, they had the annual meeting back in October of 2021, a few months back. Now, what they're doing, they haven't had any new JW broadcasting for January and February. What they're doing is they're rehashing the annual meeting. Now, this is bizarre when I think about it. I mean, geez, they got studios there. Why don't they make some new videos, or at least new broadcasting from the world headquarters Jehovah's Witness? But they're not doing that. So let me I'm going to play some clips here. And I want you just to listen in a little bit. The governing body seems like they really want you, if you were Jehovah's Witness, to really pay attention to this annual meeting. That's why I think they're rehashing it all over again. I know I got all kinds of messages coming in that.
Rick?
Yes, go ahead.
Rick?
Yes.
It could be they've simply run out of things to do after all this point. I mean, they were geared up for a long time, for everything to end by the end of the century at the latest. And I don't think they ever thought they were going to go this long. And I think they've kind of gone to the well one time too many.
I'm with you. I'm going to play a clip. So this is the broadcasting for this month. And let's hear. We'll play a little clip, and then I get some other clips I want you to hear. So listen in.
JW Broadcasting for February 2022. Last month, we enjoyed part 1 of the 2021 annual meeting. That program was filled with exciting announcements, videos, and stirring talks delivered by several members of the governing body. And it was so heartwarming to see a live audience of Bethel family members come together to enjoy this spiritual feast. Well, this month, we're happy to present the second half of the annual meeting program. We know you're going to thoroughly enjoy the encouraging updates, interviews, and talks to follow. Well, we know that the pandemic has altered all of our lives, and we commend all in the Worldwide Brotherhood for your loyal response to direction. As you likely know, more specific direction and restrictions were recommended for those who serve as special full-time servants in the field. Let's hear now from some of them about the unique circumstances they experienced.
Jehovah provides all of the things we need to accomplish our ministry and to feel secure no matter what tribulation we face. We truly have experienced Jehovah's loving support during this pandemic. Our Heavenly Father, through His organization, has provided just what we've needed to endure faithfully in our ministry and to stay strong spiritually. How has the direction to shelter in place affected circuit overseers, construction servants, field missionaries, and special pioneers? How have they been able to continue in their ministry, serving Jehovah whole soul and with joy? What practical lessons have they learned?
To follow the governing body's direction to shelter in place, we couldn't go in to see Steve's mother.
She was in aged care, just 10 minutes away from where we're based. She died whilst we were sheltering in place. This led to another challenge, grieving in isolation.
I want you to, I got the video back on YouTube, but I want you guys to listen to this couple coming up next. So that woman that was just on, she was saying that, oh, they're so happy they got the direction from the governing body to, shelter in place. And boy, we were protected. No, what a wonderful thing the governing body is basically what she was saying. But this piece right here, this clip right here really has got me. This clip is absolutely disgusting. This is a normal witness man with his wife, and they're sitting in the porch. It's an older couple. I want you to listen to this malarkey that this guy is speaking about and how he's adoring the governing body. Listen in.
At the beginning of the shelter in place direction, I had a very difficult time. I had flashbacks that were very difficult for me. During the Vietnam War, I was imprisoned because of taking a neutral stand. I had a reaction to this lockdown of being confined.
Fear of isolation is the biggest challenge for me. My lovely husband that I've been working with for years.
I will stop it right there for a second. I'm gonna move it forward. The point that I'm trying to make about all of this is, boy, they are really ramping up. They are really trying to get the witnesses to just adore the governing body, to kiss the ground that they're walking on. Geez, that's all I'm hearing here lately from JW Broadcasting is how wonderful the governing body is. This is getting dangerous. This is getting dangerous. All right, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to go up. Now, we were talking about, so many baby boomers hurting now because of the witness teaching and don't worry, Jehovah will provide. And now that you really need help, where is Jehovah? But Brother Let, well, he's the one that makes those funny faces, right, when he talks. Well, he did a talk here on materialism, And I want to fast forward this. I want you to hear this little bit of a talk here. Let me just fast forward it. So just give me a second to do that. Okay. Well, let me go. I'm going to do one other thing before I go there. I'm going to go over here to another clip I want you to hear. That would be clip number, let me go to 855. Listen, this is the clip I wanted you to hear. This really got my attention. I hope we didn't play this one before. Maybe we did, but let's start it here.
Hearts, and it ensures us that all difficult situations will help us to work on endurance, and this quality will help to cope with trials to come.
I personally have benefited from following the governing body's direction. I've actually felt joy every day, and I can only put that down to the blessing from Jehovah God on our efforts to be obedient.
We both benefited from the direction from the governing body because we trust they are the faithful and discreet slave Christ Jesus is directing them. I am so absolutely grateful to the governing body for providing direction that is blessing every single one of us around the earth.
Just like.
Does that, geez, get a bath bag. Oh, geez, they're blessing the ground. They're kissing the ground the governing body is walking on. Let me fast forward here. I don't want to bore you with this, but
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
I listened to that tape too, and they were really laying it on. But in Brother Herb's talk, when he got down to it, he said something. He said that the brothers were not supposed to worship the governing body, and they cut that part out because he said, "Hey, brothers and sisters, y'all's kids send in these god awful drawings that they draw of the governing body because they are kind of worshiping them," and so he was saying, please, don't have your kids do this or whatever. And they left that out when they edited it. When it was on for the JW.org, they actually edited out that very important point that Brother Herb made, that we shouldn't be worshiping the governing body. And he also told them that my mother was really, really impressed because Brother Herb told them that they wouldn't have to do nothing, that whenever Armageddon started, that they could go into their inner room and just be quiet until it was over with. And she really liked that because she was not digging on the going to the basement stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to play a little clip from her, too. I'm going to play a little clip. But thank you for chiming in, because that just shows that the witnesses are really falling for this hook, line, and sinker, MSDD. It's really something. But I'm going to play now. This is Stephen Lett. What they did now, this is the annual meeting. And like I said, they're playing the annual meeting for JW Broadcasting for January and February. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but they really want to drive this point home. Boy, I'll tell you, they're doing everything but, kissing the ring of the governing body. It's unbelievable. But here is Stephen Lett. He's the guy that makes the funny faces. Now, as we talked earlier, we know a lot of people, a lot of witnesses did not get a good job. They didn't go to school. They didn't do it because they didn't want to pursue the material things of the world. It would have been Satan's pursuit. And so they didn't do anything. And now a lot of these people are hurting. But now the same old propaganda. You listen to Stephen Lett. I don't even want to call this man my brother. I used to call him my brother. I won't call this man my brother. He is not, he's a con man. He is a con man. I can tell a mile away. And he's talking about materialism and how it's a crafty act of Satan, the devil. Let's listen in. I believe we're right where we should be, right around here. Yeah, let's listen to what Stephen has to say.
Of an illustration years ago in one of our publications of a soldier who was looking in the distance for the enemy to come over the horizon. He was looking for the frontal attack, but he wasn't looking in the rocks down by his feet. There was a poisonous snake lurking. And that powerfully made the point. You have to watch, yes, for the frontal attack, but especially the snake in the rocks attacks of the devil that can really bring you down without you realizing what has happened. But Jehovah assures us we can succeed in triumphing over both of these categories of attacks. In fact, Psalm 91:13, a beautiful thought. It says, and Jehovah assures, you will trample underfoot the main lion and the big snake. And the Insight book explains that apparently in that scripture, the main lion represents the frontal attack, the open attacks of Satan, whereas the big snake represents the sneaky, crafty acts of the devil. But Jehovah says, you will trample both of them underfoot. So we can be successful over both of them. Well, what are some of these snake-like crafty acts? Let's just discuss two examples. Here's one, materialism. Now, this has brought down many elders, ministerial servants.
This is what made so many Jehovah's Witness baby boomers poor. This is why today the witnesses got a problem. They got all these people reaching retirement age, and because they listened to the organization years ago to talks like you're going to hear him give right now, they listen to the same old propaganda, and they're still pushing this. They don't care.
Pioneers, publishers, very successful, crafty act of the devil. It's no coincidence that this world is powerfully geared to promote materialism.
There you go.
Relentless advertising messages are designed to indoctrinate deeply the idea that acquiring abundant material possessions and acquiring happiness are inseparably linked and directly proportional. That's really...
Well, don't they think, I mean, for the average witness watching this guy with his $500 suit on, his gold ring on, living every day with 3 meals a day without any problem, living in a nice paid-for apartment, all the accoutrements of a great wealthy life, and he's, don't pursue the material things. This is what the witnesses have done to people for years. It's this type of rhetoric that has created unbelievable amounts of poverty in the witness world. Listen what he has to say.
The message the world gives, isn't that true? And if we're not careful, we can begin to think, like this advertising messages want us to think, that we're a poor, poor loser if we don't acquire abundant material things. So what can happen? We can get sucked into this little by little. We buy one item, no problem. We can handle that. We buy something else. Well, now we need to work a little bit of overtime to make the payments. We keep buying. Now we need to...
Well, what about that guy we just read about a little earlier in one of these Jehovah's Witness illustrations? What about the poor guy that couldn't even buy a bed because he was pioneering? I mean, was he materialistic? I mean, if he had to make payments on the bed, I'd make them. Would you rather make payments on a bed or sleep on the floor? I mean, see, this is a type of rhetoric. This is the damage. This is damaging to the witnesses. Stephen, I don't go along with you. I think we had enough of him. I'm going to slide forward. I'm going to slide forward to Hurd. Oh, I want you to hear Brother Hurd. Now, it was very funny. He brought up some new light. Brother Hurd brought up some new light. Let's go forward to Hurd. Let's see where he is. I want you to hear the new light. Let's go to 1 minute, 13 seconds. I'm sorry, that'd be 1 hour, 13 minutes in. All right, let's go there. Let's try this. 1 hour, 13 minutes in. And let's bring up Brother Hurd. Let's see what he has to say. Here he is coming on. Stay with us.
From the Bible. Are you ready? The title is, I Will Never Abandon You.
I spoke to Jehovah just before I stepped out here, and I asked him, please don't abandon me. If I've ever needed you, I need you now. Why? Well, it's because of all of these beautiful sheep that I have the privilege to speak to for 19 minutes. So I want to make the most of these 19 minutes because sometimes we have to make adjustments. Now, you may have heard of a few adjustments in our understanding of things already today, and there could be more adjustments that will have to be made later on. Now, you may recall that we used to think a certain way some 10 years ago about the following matter. We felt that some of the anointed would survive Armageddon and move right on into the paradise with the other sheep and maybe stay there for a given time and then be brought to life in heaven.
So he's going to give you some new light here. We talked about it a few weeks back, right, when he gave this. But listen in, and I'll give you my feelings on it.
But as we understand it, some things Jehovah will not permit us to see, even though we read over it many, many times. We can't see it until Jehovah puts the light on it. And what I'm about to reveal to you today, Jehovah is behind it. Not the governing body, not any human here on the earth, but Jehovah God. He helps us to see things. Now, you may recall Matthew chapter 24, verses 29 through 31. You've read it many times. I have too. But notice what it says, even though we felt a little different earlier on when we read it. Verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days.
Well, we won't go any further than that, but he gives the talk, and the sister was right. They did cut part of it out. And I want you to know that they now are saying, and they've gone back and forth on this, and we discussed it as well a few weeks back, but now all the anointed ones are going to be out of here. They're going to be in heaven prior to Armageddon. And they're going to go to heaven. They're going to come back. Even Hurd went into this at an earlier talk he gave on how he's going to be a warrior. He's going to come back and kill all of those people that are against Jehovah. So, I mean, these are the type talks they're having. And they're really trying to really bring forth the governing body. At least what I extracted from all of this, they're really trying to make gods out of the governing body. Boy, I'll tell you, friends, be glad you're out of there. This thing is getting more cult-like all the time. Well, you're on JW World News.
Rapture on his mind.
Yeah.
And then the other guy had a talk that really got my dander up where he said that certain people would have the book of life that'd be written in pencil.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. Thank you, Prixie, for bringing that out. All right. Hey, anyone else want to speak up before we move to another story here? Anything get your fan? Yes, Constance.
You know, this topic really makes my blood boil. You know, the governing body members have been saying this forever about materialism. And you're 1,000% correct, Rick, why so many of the brothers and sisters are struggling financially or even to the point of being in poverty. I mean, really, step back and take a look at the whole picture. These are 8 men that don't even have a real job. I don't care if Watchtower is listening to me right now. Most likely they are. I'm just speaking the truth. The thing is, they don't have a real job. They have their medical taken care of. It's covered. Their medical, their dental, their vision. They can fly anywhere around the world, 3 meals a day. They don't have to worry about the stresses like all of us regular, everyday people. And how is this possible? Well, it's from all the donations from all the brothers and sisters, you know? And, you know, Rick, it's like, who's calling the kettle black? You know, you can just see the hypocrisy of what's going on. This organization's not even a religion. It's a money scheming, money making machine, Rick. That's what it is. And when you hit Watchtower in the pocket financially, yeah, it really hurts because they're not a religion. They're a multi-billion-dollar real estate empire. And, you know, they used to be a publishing company. Now they do everything digitally online. And that's exactly what it is. But yet they, you know, they want to keep everybody in submission, keep everybody so they can manipulate and control everybody, Rick, so they can have all the power up above, you know, because they have all the money. And just to remind the audience, when they sold everything down in Columbia Heights in New York City, they received $2 billion, not million, billion, like Barbara. So, you know, they're sitting on pretty easy straight, Rick, if you ask me. And for somebody who's rolling in that kind of cash and they're telling people not to be materialistic, I think they need to take a really good look at themselves, Rick. So thank you.
Oh, no, you got that one right. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, to Connie's point, they go out, $2 billion they made. You think they're going to help Pioneer with gas? No. But they're driving Bentleys, you know? A Bentley starts at $250,000 and goes to $500,000. So if you ask them about it, well, you know, it was a donation. Somebody gave it to him. Well, what? He must be a worldly person because Jehovah's Witness would not give another Jehovah's Witness a $250,000 car. And that's crazy. It's just unbelievable the hypocrisy that organization has. And they all have their own, you know, they get a private little Air Force. They get all expensive cars, you know. They just live really high. I mean, we all know they're all wearing Rolex watches and spending thousands of dollars for good scotch. It's just unbelievable that, and it's just too bad because we're telling the truth. If we weren't telling the truth, they would be suing 6 screens for defamation of character. And they're not suing us because it is the truth. Thanks, Rick.
Well, there you go. You know, you mentioned too the $1,000 in liquor. That was just one time that the governing body member was caught buying liquor. So he spent $1,000 or close to it that day. So that was just one time he was caught. I mean, maybe he makes that liquor run every week, maybe every 4 or 5 days. I don't know. But I mean, how much money they spending on liquor? But yet they come out, don't be materialistic. Well, if they really preach what they said, why buy that very expensive Macallan scotch? I can walk into a liquor store and I want to have some scotch. I could buy a bottle of scotch. It'd be cheap scotch, probably for $15. Why spend 50? Why spend 50 when you buy 50? I mean, that's materialism, right? But that's exactly what the Watchtower is. They're not practicing what they're preaching. Okay, you want to say something? Go ahead. You're on with us.
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, caller.
Oh, okay. Hey, Rick.
Yes.
A lot of that, I was thinking, a lot of that money, you know, you have to be wondering, you know, how much liquor Anthony Morris is buying. And considering all the lawsuits going on, I think he could use a few bottles of scotch.
Yeah.
Maybe that and the roofie colada. I don't know.
Yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it?
But
yeah, thank you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They would have to have if we're in the world living at the level they're living at with the catering, the suits, the cars, and they even have Watchtower Farm that has herds of cattle. They would have to have a very expensive pension and then some to afford one of these luxury retirement places that has the catering. They've got it all. They've got their own farm even to supply the cattle and the vegetables.
Could you imagine just going on that farm, for example, and then seeing Anthony Morris bathing naked in one of those like things that you wash pigs in.
Oh, I'm not even going to imagine that because he brings me no joy.
Yeah.
The man that sounded like a Mormon there worshiping him and saying how much joy he brings, none of those gentlemen bring me any joy. They told me not to even be a Beatles fan, and here they are worshiping them as if they're rock stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, even I'll tell you, in that I was going through that JW broadcasting with they show in the annual meeting, they show this movie studio set that they're building in Australia, and they have all these witnesses coming in. They're doing a series on Jesus, and they're building a whole movie set costing millions of dollars. And at the same time, that don't be materialistic. What in goodness name's sake is Jehovah's Witness doing producing this movie on Jesus? There's been many movies on Jesus that'll be 10 times better than any Jehovah's Witness production ever thought of being. There's wasting people's money. If you're a Jehovah's Witness listening in here tonight, get out of the organization. Get out of it. They're fleecing you. They're fleecing the flock. And you know what really gets me uptight too? There's one other story here I think we'll be able to cover tonight that I really wanted to bring up because it's disgusting. And it's one of the reasons why governments are coming down on these bums. It's one of the reasons why I believe that the witnesses were banned in Russia. And this is the Jehovah's Witnesses. There seems to be this really ugly side about the witnesses and actually deliberately wanting to destroy marriages. Now, there's questions being asked all online. What is the position of the Jehovah's Witnesses right now, the Watchtower, when it comes to a spouse leaving the organization? So you and your wife are Jehovah's Witnesses. All of a sudden, the man, the husband, he says, that's it, I've had enough. He leaves. What is the Watchtower's new position on that? Well, we know Jehovah's Witnesses, we know they strictly adhere to Jesus' command that only on grounds of divorce, the only grounds for divorce is adultery. So one spouse leaving the cult would not result in any form of congregation direction or discipline. I've got to mute some people here. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to start. I'm thinking next week we just might have to just not even have people come in anymore. Okay. We're going to have to mute everybody because we have so many people calling in that I got to get through my newscast here, and it makes it very, very difficult. And hit *6. If you're not talking, hit *6. Please do that. That'll help me. All right. So anyways, what's the position now that's being taken in the Jehovah's Witness world when a spouse leaves the organization? A Jehovah's Witness, as we know, they can actually be separated from their abusive spouse if he's abusive or vice versa. And they technically could get a divorce if they were friends. I'm sorry. There's just so much noise. Everyone's going to be muted here right now. Hold on.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
All right, you're all muted. Just stay muted. Don't anybody move so I can get through my story here, okay? Because we have beeping and there's so many people coming. I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining. But this story is very important because there's a lot of witnesses listening in right now that have abusive spouse. And what do? Can you technically get a divorce? Can you leave a spouse if they're abusive to you? Can you leave a spouse if they're endangering you? The answer is yes, but you cannot remarry. So, but the witnesses as of late, what I find they're doing from reading on forums is they're actually encouraging people that if you're a Jehovah's Witness husband and wife, and the wife leaves or the husband leaves, that the Watchtower is really kind of suggesting to you that you are now in spiritual endangerment. Your spirituality is being endangered because your spouse no longer wants to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, they are more or less suggesting leave if this is the case. This hasn't always been the case, but from what I'm reading online, they have really upped the ante. Now you can get divorced if you are in a relationship and your spirituality, according to Watchtower, is endangered, you can get you can actually get a divorce, but you cannot remarry. I'm sorry, I'm confused here somewhat. I got so many things I'm trying to do in the background here. Well, what I just want to say, if you're in spiritual endangerment, you are to separate. The organization is telling you to separate, and you can't really remarry if you do. So you're really up the creek without a paddle. So that's really the newest thing that's going on in the Watchtower organization right now, is they are actually, if they do not even want, if you married a person, you're with them for years and years, that they want you to separate. Get away from that. Get away from that person. Your spirituality is endangered. Well, I wanted to bring that up tonight to you as well. Dan and Angela, I know you're going to be coming on at 9:30 with your heart-to-heart program. I know you got a great guest coming on too. So I do believe you'll be going on YouTube. So we'll see what happens as we go downstream. But I'm not sure what's going to happen with the meetings. A lot of people have been emailing me and they're saying, Rick, what's going to go on with the meetings? Are we going to have, are we going to go back to meeting in the Kingdom Halls? I rather doubt it. I really, really do. I don't think the Watchtower is ready to go back. And the reason is, there's many reasons why they won't go back. I'm afraid they're thinking they're not going to have enough attendance, for one thing. They're not going to have enough people show up. It's going to look very embarrassing. But what did we see last Sunday? We saw the Super Bowl, right? We saw the Super Bowl and 70,000 plus people. Now, don't you think witnesses were thinking? And people weren't even wearing the mask at the Super Bowl. And don't you think the witnesses are thinking, hey, why can't we meet in the Kingdom Hall? We got 70,000 people meeting at the Super Bowl. Why can't we just, I see that. Why can't, hold on one second. We've got problems here. Second. Just trying to figure out what's going on my YouTube. All right, so 70,000 people meet at the stadium in Los Angeles, and no big deal, no big deal. Aren't the witnesses thinking, why can't we go back to the meetings? Of course they would be thinking that. So just wanted to bring that up. And also another thought I wanted to mention here tonight too, before we leave. Has the Watchtower changed its view on baptism? I'm beginning to think, yes, the Watchtower has changed its view on baptism. Years ago, if you were baptized, that more or less gave you a ticket to ride into the new system. Well, there's more things now. I mean, even when you were baptized years ago, there's still certain things you had to do. You had to be active in the ministry. You had to be promoting, their magazines and selling their magazines. And of course, even as of late, they want you promoting their website. So it's more than just being baptized. They want you to do certain things, certain works that you have to do. They want you to donate money to support Christ's brothers. They want that now. And really, they're adamant about it. They really want you to give them money. And people feel if they don't, that they're not going to be able to get into the new system, even though they're baptized. And of course, there's a lot of new light floating around since they've been on Zoom meetings. There's a lot of instructions on how to handle yourself on Zoom. All the Zoom meetings, they want to make sure you have your camera on. They want to make sure that you're really, paying attention. You're putting your hand up and making comments. And they're asking for you to do this. They just don't want you putting your Zoom meeting on and leaving. And it's being more and more emphasized that if you don't support the governing body, that is Christ's brothers, that you won't survive. Yes. Now, they might not say it in exactly that words, but they're saying that, you really have to give, no matter how poor you are, you still have to give to the organization. So I wanted to bring those points out. Baptism years ago was your ticket to ride into the new system, but now there's a whole lot more required of you. Well, we're going to get Dan and Angela on here with us next. Dan, if you're on the call here, could you just call in and hit *6 and let us know that you're on with us? Dan Clark. All right. I'm just wondering if he's on here with us tonight. He's
We're
got.
here.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. I haven't heard from you guys, so I just wanted to make sure you're on there with us. Did you guys want to go on YouTube tonight?
Sure, yeah.
All right. Okay, I'll send you a link out. So when I end the program, it'll take about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll get you on. So you just hang in there with us, and I'll bring Anne Marie in. She'll be able to fill in while I'm setting you guys up. Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Sounds good.
All right, good. So we'll get you on YouTube. And anyways, we're glad you're with us tonight. Just a few comments I wanted to make. We got just a few minutes left. Listen, why don't you do this? Why don't you join our 6 Screens Facebook group? That would be good. Join the 6 Screens Facebook group. We do have a group in there. We have a number of groups, actually. So join the 6 Screens Facebook group. And if you want to keep right up to date on what's going on here at the 6 Screens Tele-Network, we usually put it up there. The other thing that we'd like to have you do, if you enjoy our YouTube videos and the Facebook videos, make sure you like them. Even subscribe if you're watching YouTube and you like what you see here tonight and like hearing all these people calling in. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And what that does is it beefs up the algorithms on YouTube. So more and more witnesses will come across it and hopefully stagger in here and listen to some of the things we're saying. And hopefully we can get them out of the so-called truth. And also I want to remind you again, don't send any money here. Geez, we know what happens when people send money to people. I'm doing this on my own dime. I appreciate in the past people who send money here to keep things going, but I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because I want to share what I know and what all the people coming on this program know, and we want to help you for free. And that's how I've always felt, because when I got out of the Watchtower, there was a number of websites, and nobody had to spend any money at all to subscribe or do anything. All you had to do was Randy Waters and Bill Bowen and Watchtower Information Service and JW Fax. They just wanted to give you information to get you out of the Watchtower. And that's all we're trying to do here. So by all means, take that to heart. If you really want to give somebody some money, give it to a poor person. Give it to even a poor Jehovah's Witness. So we really appreciate what we're doing here. We've been doing this for 16 years. We've never missed a Saturday night. We're here because you're here. A lot of people rely every Saturday night on this program. And it's actually helping people to be able to break loose from the Watchtower. A lot of people as of late have been writing me. They're sending me messages on Facebook, and they're saying, Rick, we listen in and we're getting out. We're getting out because of what we're hearing. Not only me saying, but what all of the people who call in here say. And don't you hear me every week saying that? Muster up the courage and call into the 6 Screens. Lately, we've been getting so many calls, though, it's hard to really even keep it like an open line. See, this is different than a talk show. When you listen to a talk show on the radio, what they do is they have a screener, and they screen people before they come in. But this is a real in-action conference call. People can just speak up whenever. And, we've been able to do that, but now that we have more and more people coming in, we might not be able to do it that easy. We might have to have you mute everyone, then unmute yourself when you come in, then they'll tell you to mute it again, because it's just so much traffic that it gets very, very hard sometimes to hear what people are saying. But I want to thank you all. Thank you all for coming into the 6 Screens tonight. Spread the word for us, too. Let other people know that we do this every Saturday night, and we do it every other Sunday. Now, we do not have a Sunday program tomorrow. It's every other Sunday. So plan on that next Sunday. And we talk about what witnesses do when they leave the organization. What do they do for spirituality? Well, thank you guys for coming in. And I just want to say this. The last one leaving the Watchtower, by all means, turn off the new light. Now, we have got Dan and Angela Clark. They're coming up with their heart-to-heart program. If you're on YouTube and Facebook and you say, geez, Rick, I want to hear the program, the heart-to-heart program will stay on YouTube. So we're going to shut this YouTube video down. We'll start another one. So if you want to listen to the heart-to-heart program, it will be on YouTube. However, and also I guess it'll be on Facebook too. But if for some reason You want to hear the programs after Heart to Heart, because we have 2 other programs after Heart to Heart tonight. If you want to listen to those, go to 6screensofthewatchtower.com, scroll down to where it says Video Suite, hit that link, put a fictitious name in, and you can come into the Video Suite and you can listen to your heart's content. So give that a shot. Good night, everyone, and we'll see you next week for the news. Heart to Heart's coming up next. Anne-Marie, you on there with us?
I'm right here.
All right, Anne-Marie, I'll have you kind of take it over while I get these guys set up. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Wasn't that